Welcome to BodyHack and Build a Better You, the podcast where we unlock the secret to living a longer, healthier life and create a bloom zone in our life and within our family. I'm your host, Michaela Morel, and I'm here to provide you with the tools and knowledge to empower you to build a better you, one essential building block at a time. In today's episode, we're diving into the world of probiotics. You've probably heard the hype, how they can improve digestion, boost immunity, and even enhance your mood. But there's a catch. Most probiotic supplements don't actually deliver on those promises. Why? That's exactly what we will uncover today. We'll talk about the common reasons probiotic fails, the science behind your gut microbiome, and most importantly, what you can do to truly support your gut health. If you ever wondered why the pricey bottle of probiotics didn't seem to make a difference, this episode is for you. Let's get started. I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Read the disclaimer in the show notes, and I want to remind you to always consult your healthcare provider if you plan to make any dietary changes. There are so many people asking me about probiotics. I figured I was going to do an episode to just combine my knowledge into something that is shareable for people that are interested in probiotics and is wondering what to choose, what to do, is it really working? And yeah, let's help you with figuring out the frustration behind probiotics. Well, probiotics are everywhere. Everyone is talking about probiotics. It's fascinating because I can go out and I can ask people on the street, like, what are one thing you know about your health that could be benefiting you? And most people are like, well, taking probiotics. Everyone have heard about probiotics. The knowledge about probiotics being beneficial to your microbiome is almost more mainstream than understanding that omega-3 is essential for every single cell of your body. And a lot of people are purchasing probiotics in a supplement form, or they try to implement more probiotics through their food. And many have already been starting to look for skincare with probiotics. But what if I told you that most probiotic supplements, they don't work? Today, we're going to uncover why, and I will share what really matters when it comes to your gut health. The reason why I love this topic so much is because it is a topic that is hard to figure out. Me, myself, have struggled with my gut health ever since childhood, and I have researched it very deep, and I have tried so many different supplementation, and I've been listening to all the gut health experts out there, and I've been ordering their products, their supplements, I've been trying them, and I have seen minimal effect on my own health. And it had been frustrating because I believed I was healthy, but my body kept on failing on me. And when I truly understood that even if I was doing everything right, it still wasn't working, I needed to ask why. Why are my probiotics not working? What is the issue? Why is my gut health not improving when it should? And because of my why questions, I found a lot of information regarding probiotics and the truth behind them. But let's start with, what are probiotics supposed to be able to do for us? Well, the probiotics are the live microorganisms, so the little bacteria that are supposed to support a healthy gut microbiome when you're consuming enough. And people are usually starting a probiotic because they are looking for improving digestion, having a better immune system, and helping regulate mood issues. I know that mothers are giving it to their children if they're having colic, and doctors are even starting to recommend taking a probiotic if you are using an antibiotic. It's there to save your life from the bad bacteria that is in your system, but as it does that and kill those off, it's also killing off the good bacteria, and then you have to rebuild it. So doctors are starting to recommend to use a probiotic to help you build up your good microbiome faster. So in a perfect world, you would be able to take a probiotic supplementation. It would travel down to your intestines, and they would be alive, happy, loving their new environment, and start living there and helping you with all the different things that the bacteria is doing for you, like breaking down the food you're eating, helping vitamin D to go from inactive to active, and help with absorption levels of the food you're eating. So that would be in a perfect world, but the world isn't that perfect. And one of the reasons for that is simply because it's hard for the probiotics to survive through the digestive tract. Because when you're swallowing a probiotic, it needs to survive through the stomach acid and the bile. And most probiotics don't do that. So they never reach your intestines alive. And if they happen to reach your intestines, it is important to understand that your stomach, it is designed to kill harmful bacteria. They're designed to kill foreigners. So unfortunately, it is hard for the bacteria you try to add to survive because the defense you have already in your stomach, they're wiping them out. What is also important to understand is that everything can look good on a label. The marketing on labels are fantastic, and it can look so intriguing when it tries to claim how many millions of live strain bacteria that is in the supplementation. What we need to understand about our gut health is that it's about 300 to 1,000 different species in your gut. And most probiotics, they only contain a few species, a few strains. So many of the strains in a supplementation do not match the specific needs of individual's gut. Most products use a few common strains, like lactobacillus or bifidobacterium. But our gut microbiome is so diverse, we need more than that. And many products claim that their CFU counts are very high, but they're often dead before they even reach the gut. So if you have a billion bacteria and it's a billion dead bacteria, they won't do much good. A bacteria in our gut is usually only alive a couple of hours. And try to keep bacteria alive in a capsule that is gonna be on a shelf for weeks and months and maybe even years. And some companies have tried to address this issue with putting the bacteria to sleep. So they tell people to put it in the refrigerator to keep them cold. And some companies are even telling you to have your supplementation in the freezer and only take them out when you are consuming them. But if they're able to put a live bacteria to sleep, and if they're able to put it into a capsule that is just breaking up enough for the bacteria to be loose, yet not too much so that the bacteria dies because of the acids and the bile in your stomach, they are most often not waking up in time before they have passed out. At least that's what Dr. Paul Clayton was telling me in a conversation I had with him regarding the problems around probiotics. The next part that is problematic is the lack of prebiotics. So most of you have heard about probiotics, that's the bacteria. Prebiotics are the food for the good gut bacteria. So probiotics need prebiotics to be able to survive. And one of the reasons why you're struggling with your gut health is that you are unable to feed your good gut bacteria you already have with enough of food for them to duplicate on their own. So the diet you have today and have had for the past 5 and 10 years, it haven't been able to feed them enough. So if you start feeding your body with more probiotics and you still do not feed them with any more prebiotics, they're still not going to be able to survive, even if they were able to survive all the other aspects I've already been mentioning. So taking probiotics without a prebiotic is like planting seeds out in the soil and in dry soil and expect them to grow without giving them any water. So people that are taking a regular probiotic and they're not doing anything else for their gut and they keep on eating the same food so the land is as dry as it used to be, the probiotics are not going to be able to thrive in that environment anyway. And when I explain this to my daughter, I explain it this way. If you want to start a rabbit farm and you buy all of these cages and you're putting them out in your backyard, and then you go out and purchase rabbits and you put 2 and 2, a male and a female in every cage. And then you walk into your house and it's not revisiting them for 3 weeks, and then you go out and then you look in the cages and all you can see is dead rabbits. That's basically what eating probiotics will do. And it doesn't matter if you every day go out and put in two new rabbits every day. If you don't feed them, the rabbits will die. However, if you only have one cage and you only have one couple and you start feeding them what they need and you feed them every day, they are going to start duplicating. And the more rabbits it will be, and the more you feed them, they will duplicate faster and faster and faster. And eventually, you will not have enough of cages to be able to put in your backyard to host all of those rabbits that will be there due to you feeding the rabbits. So, when we're looking at improving gut health, it is so much more important to feed the bacteria you already have with prebiotic fibers. But if we go back to probiotics, it's so hard to control the environment of the probiotics too. Heat, moisture, and time degrade probiotics. So if they aren't stored correctly after manufacturing, they lose potency. And when we talk about potency, the lack of regulation is also problematic. Many probiotics products don't undergo rigorous testing to prove their efficiency. And studies have shown that the strains listed on the bottles are not even in the bottle. And research from institutions like the Human Microbiome Project has highlighted how unique each person's microbiome is. So what works for one person's gut might be useless or even harmful for someone else. And it is very hard to measure the effect of probiotics in your gut. Remember, with 300 to 1,000 different species of probiotics in your gut, they don't live in the same spot. They're living in different places. And for you to be able to go in and do research, you would have to go in and enter every single part of your gut and do different measurements because it will be different strains and different amounts of bacteria living in a different area of your gut, fulfilling different obligations. And the reason why it can even be harmful for someone to use a probiotic is that if you're only getting too many of one strain and you're not getting anything of the other ones, the one strain, and this is also true with prebiotics, if you're only feeding your gut one or two strains of prebiotics, you might be feeding one colony a lot more than all the other colonies, which would then create an overgrowth, which can then cause this other strains to not have as much space, making their colony smaller and smaller while you have overgrowth of other colonies. So collaborating with your gut health can be very problematic when you're trying to do it yourself. When we're talking about the evidence on efficiency, there are some studies that shows that probiotics can be helpful, but there are also a lot of studies that are showing that they're not. So a probiotic can help with specific conditions like antibiotic-associated diarrhea, for example, but the results are inconsistent and strain-dependent. So what should you do instead of just go out and buy a probiotic from Sprouts or your health store? Focus on building up your microbiome from the inside with the food you're eating. Remember that every time you have processed foods, additives, alcohol, sugar, and other things that are creating a negative fermentation in your body, understand that every time you do that, you're feeding the bad gut bacteria. So if you keep on feeding, it doesn't matter how healthy you're eating, if you simultaneously is also eating unhealthy, because a lot of you are feeding your bad gut bacteria in the same amount of your good gut bacteria, or even more so. And that is causing your gut bacteria that is good not to be able to thrive because it's not enough of space because you keep on feeding the bad gut bacteria. So you need to do some dietary changes. You need to make sure that your good gut bacteria gets fed more often than your bad gut bacteria. And you do that with fiber-rich vegetables, fermented foods such as sauerkraut and kimchi, and foods that are rich in polyphenols like berries, some dark chocolate. I always like to bring the chocolate in. I'm a girl. But we can eat that guilt-free as long as it's not like containing too much lead or something. But if we bring in more foods that are rich in prebiotics, more onions, leeks, bananas, and so on, that will feed the good gut bacteria. And it's the prebiotics we want to get a hold of. Just fiber-rich food can be problematic for someone that is already struggling with their gut. So if you have IBS or Crohn's, fibers should be avoided. But then there are supplementations with prebiotics that can help you because they're working different than regular fibers. It will not aggravate your body. And what's happening when we're getting prebiotic fibers into our body is that the good gut bacteria, they eat the prebiotic fiber and that metabolizes to butyric acid, which is then helping to restore the gut lining, the mucosa, which is then helping us to have a gut that is healing. And it's pretty fabulous what we're able to do for our health if we just give it the right circumstances. And to be able to do that, we need the knowledge. And we also have to have an understanding of a diversity of prebiotic fibers is what our gut needs. So we need a lot of different types of fruit and veggies. And if we're taking supplementation, it should contain mainly strains. So the one I like to use, it's 8 different types of strains that are feeding some key colonies throughout your gut. And I've experienced great results with that for me, for my family's gut health, and for my clients' gut health. So after listening to this podcast, you might start understanding that instead of trying to add probiotics, it is so much more important to just feed the bacteria we already have. And when I'm saying the bacteria, I'm always talking about gram-positive bacteria, the good bacteria we want to have. And try to stay away from foods that are feeding the gram-negative bacteria. And there are some microbiome testing out there if you want to go and try to do some tests. I still are struggling with trusting many of these tests. So I'm looking forward this field to move forward and that we can have more advanced testing in the future. And just remember that your gut is unique. But what we do know that everyone can benefit from is just eating more whole foods. So eat more whole foods that benefit each and every one of you regardless. And then potential supplementations, that is very individually based. So we need to take a look at your symptoms and where you are at to figure what the best route for you would be. Another thing I want to mention here too, to improve your microbiome, it's also very important to reduce the levels of stress you're under. If we're very stressed, that is also impacting our gut health in a negative way. So we don't want to be stressed. So if you are struggling with your gut, whole foods, prebiotic fibers, and then find ways where you can bring the stress levels down in your body. You might want to start with yoga, meditation, just start walking barefoot, lay down on the ground, do some grounding. And I would say nature is helping every single person stress down. So just make a plan for getting out in the nature. When I say hug a tree, I mean hug a tree. It's so beneficial for us. And that can also help you improve your microbiome. And you might have heard that inflammation is having a relationship with pretty much any health issue you have. Remember, when you're having inflammation in your body, you usually also have inflammation in your gut. So we need to target inflammation on a cellular level. And after we have targeted that, we have to understand that gut health is related in every single case of autoimmune diseases and also in pretty much every health issue I've seen. When people come to me with headaches, it's usually a gut issue. When people are coming with problems with focus, brain fog, and so on, it's a gut issue. When people are coming with problems with rheumatoid arthritis or joint aches, it is usually because of leaky gut, having too big particles leaking out in your bloodstream, causing the inflammation. The inflammation gets a little bit more easily caught in areas where you're bending your joints, and the inflammation kind of gets stuck there. Or the bacteria, like the too big particles of food you're eating is usually getting stuck in areas where you're bending your joints and the inflammation gets more intensified over there. So that's why you start feeling the achiness. So correcting the inflammation levels and the gut health is usually showing people that they will not have to live with pain their whole life if they are targeting it, and at least not as much pain. If people are improving 10% or 50% or 100%, that's very individual, depending on different stressors, different toxins and things that are going on in their body. But what I do know is when I felt my worst, if someone came to me and said, you can improve your health with 5%, I would have jumped at it because I was so miserable that even 5% would make such a big difference in my life. So looking into your cellular health and your gut health can be very beneficial for your overall health. And if you have tried a probiotic and you have felt that it haven't been helping so much, or maybe it did help, please head over to my Instagram, BodyHack with Michaela, and make a comment, because maybe you have found something that is working that other people want to know about. Or maybe you can find some inspiration in the comments. And maybe someone shared this episode with you and can help you, guide you. And if you want my help, make sure to just get into my DMs and yeah, let's get your health journey started. So I hope you got inspired to start looking into your gut health and see how you can create better circumstances for your body to start a self-healing process of your gut lining and your gut health. I'm Michaela Morell, and I can't wait to see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you want to share this podcast with and copy the link and send it right away. Thanks for playing an important role in the Blue Zone community. And if you want to keep on building a better you, one essential building block at a time, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next episode.